So drum roll, please.
Here we go.
Here we go. Coming up, man.
Gotta get my old carcass on here. We ready online?
We're online.
Welcome to the LA School of Comedy on Wednesday night. Woo! We have quite a lineup for you here tonight. This is men's night. We're gonna listen to trauma dumping. We're going to have, a little bit of support there for some of our more abused members, But just to continue in that vein, I've been working on a bit. I actually have a bit, not just, it's called, Why Do Presidents Still Live After They Leave Office? Think about it. Think hard about it. What are you to do when you leave office? What use are you, right? Look at Jimmy Carter. What did he do? Hammered in a couple of nails on some idiot's house in Venezuela? Turned country. He was the ones watching the election. Look at the country. Excuse me. Coke. The pause that refreshes. It also makes you burp. But look, come on. Let's be honest. Look at all these guys line up in an inauguration. There's nothing for them to do. All they do is get themselves into trouble. Think hard. Bill Clinton, the apex of his career. One impeachment, just for a blowjob. Where did he find himself? Epstein Island. Barack Obama. What's Barack doing? Think about it. His marriage is on the rocks. God knows what he does with his days. He probably sits around reading fucking old Playboys, looking for mentions of himself. Think about the Bush brothers, or the father-son duo. How more useless were they? Clinton, Johnson, the worst was Billy Carter, or Jimmy Carter. Billy was Billy Beer, right? Think about it. What does an ex-president do? God knows, what does Joe Biden do? Imagine Joe Biden's day now. First they shuffle him out of bed. Then they have to clean the shit out of his diaper. All right? Then they shower him. Then they put a suit on him and they bring him down to the ice cream store. He walks around wherever he is in Delaware, working on an ice cream cone, begging people to hire him to do a speech. And they figure it will charge. Okay, they say to him like this: "We will pay you by every word that makes sense." So when you think about it, the man is getting paid $20 for a speech that Clinton used to get $250,000 for. Why would you want to be an ex-president? The best thing to do after you're president of the United States is commit seppuku. Come on. Wouldn't you like to see Obama rip his belly open? One long line of them. Who's alive? Clinton? Barely. Barely. During the election season, by the way, I was looking at him doing his anti-Joe Biden imitations. Face it. Bill Clinton actually campaigned against Joe Biden because Hillary was pissed. She said, "I should have been president." Yeah, that's all we needed. Hillary Clinton. How much could she have stolen in 4 years? Think hard. Now, it wasn't Bill that was at Epstein Island. They're covering up the fact that it was Hillary. They put blindfolds on the girls. They couldn't tell the difference. Hillary with a dildo, or Bill looking for a blowjob. Same difference. They couldn't. These are 14, 15-year-old girls. How did they know? Look at Hillary's type. Realize Hillary and what's his name? I keep forgetting his name. Rosemary Clooney's nephew. Oh yeah, George Clooney. Hillary and George Clooney have the same type of woman. Take a look at Amal Clooney and compare her to Huma Abedin. Tall, skinny Lebanese with no tits. That's the Hillary Clinton style. It's real, think about all politicians and their sex lives. It is probably the most disgusting thing to think of. What about Errol Swalwell? What a moron. Fang Fang? I know how he got caught, by the way. Every so often I'm staring at my phone, and all of a sudden something comes up. Hello. It has that type of accent behind it. Hi, what are you up to? Well, I didn't see you at the gym. And then you could play, right? You're right. You can try to figure out, is this an AI? Am I getting, solicited by an AI? No, I wasn't at the gym. Who the fuck are you? Oh, I thought you were my friend Daisy. Daisy? And then it goes on and on and on until you tell them to finally shut the fuck up. Until you get a picture on your text, which your wife's going to get pissed about. That's usually a weird selfie on the side. Because it's AI. They cover it up. It's an 80-year-old Asian woman in the Philippines. Take my word for it. But the funny thing about it is, can you imagine that, right? It could be Hillary Clinton. Maybe. All right, now we hear that, now that Jerry Nadler is retiring, All right, I don't know what he's going to do with the rest of his life. They cut his belly out already, and he's already stinks. God knows there's not much left to Jerry Nadler. He sleeps in Congress. All of a sudden, they have pictures of the Congress. There's Jerry Nadler. But who's running for his office, right? I understand it's Jack Schlossberg and Clinton's daughter. Now, Chelsea Clinton as a congressperson. Wow, that's great. That way, Mark Nowinski can follow his father's footsteps and get caught for insider trading. What about Schlossberg? This one is really the bottom of the Kennedy tree. You know how they talk about family trees need pruning? This kid should have been cut off a long time ago. The things that he comes out with, and he wants to be a congressperson. And these morons on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, they will vote for them. Well, what a choice they're going to have for Chelsea or Jack. Chelsea or Jack. Which one do I vote for? Let me flip a coin. Little known fact about Mark Nowinski's, Hillary Clinton's, son-in-law. So it's about the time of the wedding. A comic in New York who shall remain nameless for obvious reasons decides she's going to change her name back to her maiden name. So I say to her, "What's your maiden name?" She goes, "Well, it'll do better for me in my career. I'm going to change it back to Miss Vinsky. And I'm going to the wedding." Some of us here know who she was. All of a sudden, she's now performing under the name Miss Vinsky. Another clown. The whole family must be. Father went to jail, by the way. Both mother and father were in Congress. There's a whole coterie out there. I'm going to end on this note. Last year, Ilhan Omar had no money in the bank. This year, it turns out her net worth is $30 million. Where did that come from? Saudi Arabia? Qatar? Hamas? Think about it. How all of a sudden do you go to Congress, a poor Somalian refugee, hate this country, and you got $30 million in the bank? I can't wait to dig around in the other one's finances. The one who got up the other day and basically said, "I hate America." We'll see. It should be fun. And on that note, bringing to the stage the one, the only, middle-aged muchacho, Billy Ramirez.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Woo!
Keep it going.
Yeah, Billy!
Thank you. Muchas gracias. Un placer estar aquí con ustedes. I like to open up in Spanish sometimes because I look like I might not be able to do it. Thank you. It's nice being here in this men's group in front of 12,000 people. Yeah, it's fun feeling like an undercover Latino sometimes, especially now because I look far more likely to be mistaken for ICE than to be taken by ICE. I don't know if you can tell by the anything. I am first-generation Mexican-American. ¿Qué pasa, familia? Órale. I've never been able to do that goddamn whistle. I wish I could. If I could do that whistle, everywhere I'd go would sound like an aviary. Fine, a bird store. As a first-generation Mexican-American, I've struggled with confidence and anxiety issues my entire life, and I'm pretty sure I've realized why that is. I think it's because I grew up under the rule of la chancla. If you don't know what la chancla is, for some mothers, it's a piece of footwear, like a sandal, or a disciplinary device. And my mom was lethal with it. She could deploy it short range and smack me upside the face before I even knew it, like she was trying to win one of those new power slap competitions, power chancla slap, whatever. But more frightening is that she could deploy it long range. So if I was in my room playing Nintendo, Super Mario Kart, the OG, and she thought I was screwing around, from around the corner would come a chancla and smack me upside the head. And then it would somehow return to her. And I don't know how she ever figured out how to do that because I don't know how she ever figured out how to boomerang a chancla because as far as I know, she never even met an Australian, been to Australia, but somehow she turned herself into Chancla Dundee, like, you call that a chancla? This is a chancla. But and growing up under the rule of La Chancla affected me quite a bit. It's affected me to this day. Like just recently I went through this phase where I didn't think I was interesting enough to be a stand-up comedian. I I do have stories. I just got to start digging into this hoarder's brain that I have. That's just it feels like a house where the garage is filled with just physical copies of Smokey and the Bandit, because that's my favorite movie, and the guest house is full of just useless trivia from 1990s NHL goalies. And by the way, here we go. Let's have some fun. Here are my top 3 favorite 1990s NHL goalie names in descending order. All right, number 3, Darren Pupa. Number 2, Pokey Reddick. And number 1, Ron Tugnut. Those are all real names. Honorable mention goes to Darcy Wakaluk, because Wakaluk sounds like something you would say when you stub your toe in the dark. But no, but I think I might have some stories. I just got to start tapping into this rich elixir of just trauma-infused nectar. That's that has subtle notes of people pleasing and shame, and very strong notes of emotionally unavailable parents. But speaking of parents, and speaking of not having stories, here's one story that I do have. I'm pretty sure that my dad killed my mom, and I think he did it through poison beans. Yeah, that's right. So check this out. So my mom went toe to toe with cancer for 19 years, but then she dies just a couple days after my dad leaves her to go move to live with the family from his first marriage. And before he did so, he left my mom some food, including some beans. All right. And I know it just sounds, well, poison beans. That's ridiculous. That sounds like a ska band from Bakersfield and from the 90s, But no. But so when my brother and I went to go pack up her apartment, there on her stove was a fresh batch of beans that she'd been eating. So and I know the whole poison beans sound ridiculous, but let me give you even more backstory. So in the 80s, my family and I, we lived in Mexico with extended family. And when we moved back to the States, my dad developed a flesh-eating infection in his leg, right? And he claims that the flesh-eating infection was the result of an enemy from his town when we lived in Mexico who poisoned his tortillas with dirt from a graveyard. Okay? So when you hear that, like poison beans doesn't sound that ridiculous, does it? Poison beans, refried beans, re-dyed beans, whatever. I don't know. It's yeah, but yeah, just thinking about all this poison, having this poison bean story in the back of my head, and growing up under La Chancla and all that. It can be a heavy toll. Like sometimes. When I'm hanging out in my not a house and just lying in bed completely alone, due to all the not relationships I had in my life, or just reviewing my portfolio, which is nothing more than an old trapper keeper full of coupons. Like sometimes I wonder, like what heights could I have reached if I'd just taken fewer chanclasos growing up, fewer chancla smacks, which by the way. Chancla smacks are part of a delicious, nutritious, well-rounded Latino breakfast. You can find chancla smacks in the cereal aisle next to special Que Pasa Cabron and Honey Nut Pendejos. Yeah, so sometimes I wonder, like, what heights could I have reached? That was kind of clever with the cereal, right? Like maybe I could have been a VP of marketing somewhere at a Fortune 500 company with one of those KY 401s or whatever it's called, But instead, I have 5 side hustles going on right now. They're not even on 5 side hustles. They're 5 main hustles going on. You're just trying to get by, One of which is doing moving work, which is nice because it brings in money, and also sometimes I don't feel Mexican enough, so it's nice to do some manual labor every now and then. And plus with ice running around, I could easily pick up a shift in front of Home Depot like that, anyways, but, or maybe I could have been one of those successful bilingual lawyers in LA, with the billboards, it's like, did you slip on a churro at Disneyland? Call me, Te partiste la madre con un pinche churro en Disneylandia, llámame, anyways, but, I don't know, my mom and my dad, they did their best though, and I don't think anyone wants to hear about some middle-aged man complaining about his parents, but at the same time, somebody's best could be a C minus, and then, sometimes I wonder that, like, about all those chanclases that I grew up taking, and I'm pretty sure that I might have taken one too many, and my mom ended up smacking me past potential lawyer, potential doctor, potential scientist, and all the way over to liberal arts degree. And yeah, so my parents managed to get my brother and I both to college. We both graduated, but so my brother ended up being an architect. He's a successful architect in Honolulu. But by the time I got to college, I was so anxiety riddled and exhausted that I ended up taking the most default fallback college degree there is. Anyone care to guess?
Communications.
Communications, that's right. A degree so disrespected that The Simpsons made fun of it while I was pursuing my communication degree, and I ignored the warning. Actually, just the fact that I'm a middle-aged man trying comedy means that I've ignored all the warnings, But in this episode called Faith Off, the kicker for Springfield University injures his leg in the big rivalry football game. And in the locker room, Dr. Julius Hibbert tries to comfort him, and he tells him, I'm afraid you'll never play football again, but at least you can fall back on your degree in communications. Oh, dear Lord, no. And then the kicker goes, yes, I know he's a funny major. Lubchenko learned nothing. Well, it's been almost 25 years now, and that joke is finally funny to me because they say that comedy is tragedy plus time, and well, enough time has passed, and the tragedy is a communication degree. But despite having anxiety and confidence issues, here in LA, a city that's designed to destroy your confidence and shatter your ego, just break you down, every now and then I do get to feel confident, and that's whenever I go to a Mexican restaurant, a taqueria, and I overhear someone order something like a chicken quesadilla, chicken fajitas, chimichangas, or something like that. By the way, it's a tragedy that the actor Eric Estrada and the singer Celia Cruz never teamed up for anything. They could have had a variety show called Chips and Salsa. All right, that one's on the house. But whenever I hear someone order something in that funky manner, like I just can't resist just going overboard and just like, ¿Qué tal, preciosa? En este momento yo deseo 3 tacos de carne asada, 2 churros y una peñafiel. Gracias, por favor, muy amable. And then when I'm feeling extra confident, I'll throw in some bonus words like agujeta, crepúsculo, ferrocarril, and all that means is shoelace, twilight, railroad, which is stupid. But really doesn't matter where or when I hablo español, because whenever I do, I go completely overboard and basically turn into a Latino reporter. I don't know if you watch the news, but if you do pay attention to any reporter whose last name ends in EZ, and that's how I hablo español, like a Latino reporter wrapping up a segment, something like, police don't have any further information on the suspect, reporting live from Rancho Santa Margarita. This is Gustavo Gutierrez, el mero mero más chingón, tú sabes, güey, for ABC 7 News. Back to you, Nancy. Thank you. That's my time. I'm Billy Ramirez. You can find me old school at BillyRamirez.com.
Yeah.
And also on Instagram and TikTok at middleaged muchacho. Yeah. Please welcome back to the stage, America's sweetheart, Mark Zaffron.
Billy. I can just imagine Billy in one of those Mexican wrestling masks. Rachata! Here he comes. So I listened to his routine, right? And I'm thinking, poison beans? Can you imagine if his father was fed a magic bean and had that big giant tree growing out of his ass? That's a terrible way to die. Your mother didn't think of that one, right? Well, on that note, and trauma, I was noticing why certain people spell their name in strange ways. It's like when I once asked a locksmith, why does everybody want A? And they say, well, when they go to the yellow pages, first they see. So I typed into IMD Pro AE, and guess what showed up? Aaron McIntyre!
Hey, that was a nice segue. Nice work. I brought my phone tonight. Thanks very much. How are you? Good. Well, good. I'm great. I'm doing good. You brought up a bunch of stuff there, Mark. One is, the people who are on the texts, right? So I got one today, actually. And it says, Aaron McIntyre, I finally got in touch with you. How are you doing lately? So I said, who's this? And this lovely Asian woman sent me a picture. She sent me this picture and she says, "Hi, I'm Ella. It seems you don't have my number saved." We chatted on LinkedIn and became friends. Okay, first of all, I never fucking chat on LinkedIn, so I know that's bullshit. Here's my photo. Do you remember me?
Woo.
And she's waiting for a reply. So, if anybody's got any suggestions of what I should send to this woman.
Money.
No, I don't think so. I actually went through, whatever. I went through this whole thing where I got punked, right? So I was, when I first got divorced, I started looking at some of the, the sites and stuff like that. And I met this woman. She lived close by. We start talking and, over the computer. And she says, about 3 weeks into it, and the thing is that when she would send me things back, it didn't seem like it really connected with what I had said. It was like completely off in right field. And then she said, well, I kind of fudged the profile. I have a house in Petaluma, but I'm actually in the National Guard. And I'm in Croatia. And I was like, oh, okay. So right around, So I knew I was being punked already, so I wrote back and I said, I just want to let you know that if you're looking for money, you're not going to get it. But I'd love to talk to you. Let's keep chatting. So we went on for months. And it was so much fun because I knew this was bullshit. And I kept sending stuff back to her that, she wouldn't know what to say. And she sent me some pretty nice pictures, I got to say. Yeah. But finally, lo and behold, she starts saying, I got to get out of here. I got to get out, but I have to get discharged. And going on and on. Finally, she wrote me and she said, great news. And she sent me a discharge, like a form. Look, I got discharged. All I need is $600 to get home. And you need to send it to my doctor friend in Florida. I'm like, oh, man, this is great. So I saved it all. I'm going to write a one-man show about it because it's some great stuff. You also mentioned the woman I moved out here with. Did you know that? You knew that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I moved out here with her.
Who?
Andrea.
Really?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
Andrea, if you're watching, you were great. You were fabulous. You were a wonderful person. She really was. Wild lady, gotta tell you. She was a wild lady. Yeah. But she and her dad kept me alive in San Francisco for 3 years, which was really good because, he had some money and apparently he went to jail for it. Am I going to get sued for that?
No.
Okay. So I moved into a new place. I got kicked out of my old house because the management company was so terrible that the owner fired them. And so they sent me this eviction notice saying you got to be out by September 15th. This was on Saturday or Friday. So now I got 15 days basically to find a new place to live. So I immediately went out. Thanks to the Kronquist Zafran empire, I found a great place up in West Hollywood. No longer living in Crenshaw, which I'm going to feel kind of out of place up in West Hollywood because I'm white. And there's lots of white people around there, and I liked Crenshaw. I lived there I was there for 2 weeks before I saw a white person, which was great because I moved from Berkeley, California, which if you're from Berkeley, there's only one little part of town where there's people of color. Everybody else is white and rich and really annoying, politically correct idiots, They're the kind of people that, when you're driving your car and you're coming up to a crosswalk, they're way back. So you could easily drive by and they would just keep walking at the regular pace. But as soon as they see you coming, they start walking faster so that they can get to the crosswalk. Because you gotta stop for pedestrians. And they wear trees on their head when they're trying to save a tree at the city council meetings. There was a whole meeting one night the city council, because I used to work for the public education government television station, so we'd cover all of the council meetings. We had a night where they were discussing the SNPs program, which is a thing for where they give vasectomies to dogs, right? They had a meeting about this, about whether or not they should pass an ordinance to do this. 2 hours of one person after another coming up, and all they get was 2 minutes. So you can imagine how many people were upset about the SNPs program. And they would get up and talk, and one guy actually said, "You're taking my dog's right to have a family away." Like the dog is sitting there going, "I just want a family. I just want to raise some pups." Live up in the hills. What else can I tell you? Oh, yeah, I got you. How many people have dysfunctional families? Yeah. Is there no? You're good?
I'm pretty good.
You're pretty good.
Oh shit.
Shit, can I meet them?
Yeah.
Can they adopt me? Oh, please. Yeah, because I am an orphan now. So I am looking for, some housing. Somebody to take care of me. Yeah, relationships, I'm not, I don't think I'm ever doing that again. Because, for this package, I'm way too picky. I'm way too picky. Because if anybody's going to laugh at me with my clothes off, it's got to be a hot woman. It can't be somebody that I went, "Oh, okay." I did have a pretty torrid affair with my best friend's bidet. That was fun. Yeah, it was a good. I stayed at their house for about a month, and it was a glorious month. We had a torrid affair. Lately we haven't really talked that much, but we do text every once in a while. She's like, "Oh, I'm like, 'Hey, yeah, baby, how you doing?" She's like, "Oh, psh, 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 psh." I'm like, "Yeah, it talks squirty to me, baby." Every once in a while, I walk by a garden hose and I get a little lonely, Go by a fire hydrant and I'm like, she's too big for me. But I can't tell my friends, because that would be embarrassing. I can't tell my friends I had an affair with your bidet, so I haven't told them, and I certainly can't take her home to my mother because she's dead. So, yeah. And a lot of times people will say, "Yeah, what about the age difference?" And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? She has seen way more ass than I have, Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's my time. My name's Aaron McIntyre. I want to let you know I don't have my shirt on tonight. I'm supposed to be pushing merch, but maybe I'll pass that off to our marketing manager, Mark Zaffron, who's done such a fabulous job. But I do have acting classes here. Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. It's a drop-in class. You should show up. We got some scripts that are brand new. From some of the comedy shows that are coming out right now that you can work on. We focus mostly on comedy, and we go through the process rather than the result. So you actually learn how to bring the most out of the scripts. Been doing it for about 35 years. Show up, you're going to have fun, and right now I'm going to hand it back to my compadre. My compadre, Mark Zaffron. Yeah!
Aaron! I'm going to match Aaron. AI photo for AI photo. This is the one I got. They always ended up by saying, "You're so kind." That's how you know it's an AI.
I think that's the same picture.
Well, it's been manipulated so many times with Photoshop, you never know who it is. It's like a generic mixed Asian person. Just so it hits all your buttons. It doesn't hit yours because you're clearly a Sidney Sweeney person. No question about it in my mind, Aaron.
Oh, yeah.
You're definitely a mammary man.
Yeah, well, I'm an everyday.
Anyhow, you know who that really is? This is Lee Shorts' girlfriend. Well, we don't know what she looks like. We have to make it up. All right. So now we're talking about trauma dumping, sharing your troubles, looking for love in all the wrong places. Let's bring to the stage Lee Shorts. Or Schwartz. Which one is it, Lee?
What?
Who wears Schwartz?
Shorts.
Me!
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate that. All right, you weren't mean enough to me. All right. I'll let my girlfriend do that later. So, but I just want to say though, I love my girlfriend, just not when I'm with her. That's all. So I'm here, she's there, and we agree upon this. So there's love emanating at this moment, back and forth. You feel the love, I do. We worked it out. But you know, she sometimes in anger she says things, and she means every one of them. So, but she said she was so much happier when she was without me, alone. And I said, "What's the difference?" And she said, "You weren't there. That's the difference." I said, "Go easy on me. I had a rough childhood. Okay, go easy." My mom used to lock me in closets and basements. One time she brought me up from the basement and she said, you know, I said, "Why? Why'd you lock me in there?" She's like, "Okay, you have a right to know. I had to lock you in the basement because I put your brother in the closet." You know, made sense to me, I guess. And my parents would make fun of me all the time, you know, and they said they were, you know, preparing me for being bullied in school. And, you know, the list, the stutter, the dyslexia, easy target. Then after a while, I realized that it wasn't preparation. They liked making fun of me. They enjoyed it. You know, they got some out of it. You know, thanks. But then one time my dad came in. I thought his conscience got the better of him. He comes in. He's like, "I'm sorry. I'm not going to make fun of you anymore. I'm going to make fun of you and your brother." I'm like, "Okay, that's fair. That's fair. All right." It was rough. I mean, I didn't even make any imaginary friends. That was that bad, you know. And but I did make one. But it's hard to make imaginary friends because you kind of need to be delusional, and I wasn't. But that's okay. But I would go on and just be happier, not me. That's all, you know. And but I had a dog. He ran away. I blamed myself, of course. And but Mom said, "Reassure me, it's not you. It wasn't personal. It was just because you didn't take care of him properly." I'm like, "Thanks, Mom. Appreciate that." But more recently, you know, I did get an emotional support dog, but he took off too. He's like, "I'm out of here. I'm out of here. This is too much for me." You know, so. But my girlfriend says, "Just don't think. Let me do the thinking. Right. And don't move because you tend to break my things." So, yeah, all right, it's fine. You know, I'm easy. You know, I'm easy to pick on. You know, but I go on, and I will. Barely each day. But and she tells me, you know, that she doesn't like sex with me because I joke all the time. When I can't take it seriously. You know, when I get into bed, I can't focus right, you know. And it is hard because she caught me off guard the other day and she's like, this was a test because I wasn't ready for this. She said, she's like, "Talk mean to me. Say something mean to me." I'm like, and you got to, on your spot, you can't just, you know, stall. So I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, you can't use my credit cards for a month or so. And how's that for me? All right, I won't do chores for you for a while.
A while.
Okay, so that's mean. And then she said, "Okay, we're done here. That's enough. Get out." And I was so frazzled. I walked out, and then I realized this is my house. And I was that bad, you know. But you know, I go on, and she understands me, and she says, you know, I'm dumb smart. I don't know what that really means, but when I said that, what does that really mean? And she said, "You figure it out." I don't know, and then she explained a little bit. It's like I come up with a really good word, but I don't pronounce it quite correctly and use it in a sentence properly. And she says, and also sometimes you the dumbest thing you do, she says, is you pretend you're smart when you talk to people, like mechanics and contractors, and it's true. I mean, but I try to make it look like I really know what I'm talking about. But she says, you're so transparent. You don't even know what a screw is, or a hammer, and how to change oil. I said, I'll fake it till I make it. But I go on, and I will, and it has a lot to do with, I don't know, when I was a kid, I moved around a lot, and eventually my parents, they just tied me to the chair so I wouldn't move anymore. They tied me down. So, because, I'd get into trouble that way. It was safer, and I break my girlfriend's things, accidentally, of course, but she says, yeah, just don't move in the house. It's safer for all of us, including the cat. And I understand. It's rough living with me. I'm not, I do things, and she does throw some things. Okay, she threw a spoon. I said, "You almost hit me," and she said, "Okay, I'll try again." She's like, "Don't move. Don't stay still. I can't hit moving targets." Okay, all right, thanks. All right, I'll sharpen my reflexes for next time. I'll work on that. And the power slapping. I could, train with my girlfriend. She could keep hitting me a couple times, toughen myself up, train for that power slap. Dumbest sport, though. Dumbest things. Two guys hitting each other in the face. See who goes down first. You can see that at a bar. For free. It's ridiculous. But, I do feel like sometimes when I leave to come here, it is like exiting a power slap, getting over here, making it over here, hobbling almost, and running out the door tonight especially, there's like 8 little porcelain cats lined up as I go out, and if you slam the door hard enough, you guarantee you will break a porcelain cat. And they are all her favorite porcelain cats. So tap in tonight. I ran inside. I hope she didn't hurt it. And I stuffed the cat in the shards in my, my pants. And then I got the text coming over here. Did you knock over something? I heard something loud. And I said, text back, no. And I know what she's thinking, and it reminded me of like Misery, when James Caan gets hobbled. I feel like that's coming any day now. She has nightmares about me breaking her things. Nightmares. She used to have nightmares about this guy chasing her, and she's like, "This is worse." Okay. Well, I'm a nightmare, huh? Well, all right. But just wish you're not me, that's all. And but I go on, and if she bears with me, I'll, but, I managed to make it over here not hobbled, not limping, not permanently crippled as I came over. But I don't know. One of these days, though, she's going to get me. But, hopefully by then my reflexes were sharp enough to dodge things and escape. That's my only means, escape. I will escape now. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah! Yeah! I gotta tell you, watching his set is like watching a fetish video. So, here's my thing. If Jeffrey Epstein really was not death by suicide and death by conspiracy, you think they would have hired a better hitman? You know, the funny thing is that you know it's not real. Because I just read while I was listening to Schwartz's unburdening of himself that Michael Avnetti is coming out of prison to represent the victims. Do we remember Michael Avnetti? Stormy Daniels, Michael Avnetti? And his co-counsel is going to be Michael Cohen. Think about it, you know? I mean, so this guy got up today on you know, you have to talk about this shit. You know, you feel like Joe Rogan if you don't. This guy got up today and this girl said, "We're making a list of victims." This has been going on since 2014. We've seen Gloria. If there were other victims that had something to say that implicated Donald Trump or anybody else, don't you think Gloria Allred would have shook them down already? Does anybody not know who Gloria Allred is? Sundar says, I don't explain to everybody who I'm talking about. The woman's been in the papers since Christ was a corporal, for God's sake. She's 80 years old. She's represented every alleged victim of sexual abuse. She has 3 Weinsteins. 1 Weinstein victim, 2 Weinstein victim, 3 Weinstein victims. Where is she? Oh, she bolted her hole, but Avnetti isn't around. So, and then the lawyer gets up and says, there is a huge conspiracy of all these enablers. This is all a setup to sue J.P. Morgan. Since when, what, would a bank paying them off? How do you know it's a payoff when you send a wire transfer? What does it say on the bottom? Payoff for silence? All right. This is just... And you know, the cackling in the corner from the Democratic corner, they love this shit. You know, and then all those pervert Republicans, you got nothing better to do? You could be picking on AOC. Why are you bothering with Epstein? Because it's salacious. Americans love sex. They love the most salacious, disgusting sex there is. They thrive on it, gossip and sex. Now, most Americans are worried about putting food on their table. How many are really worried about Jeffrey Epstein? And there's one more thing I have to say as I leave. I don't want to seem like a racist, by the way, but I have to agree with Aaron. There are some times I can't stand white people. I saw this picture of a protest in Chicago against the National Guard who wasn't even there yet. I didn't see any black people. You would think that they would be the ones protesting against the National Guard. I remember Selma. I remember all of the protests. I remember Newark. Those were National Guards with bayonets. You don't see the black people out there protesting. They're saying, please come into our neighborhoods and kick these kids' asses. All right. Now we're going to call Dave, or David. He won't give me his last name. Schneider. I suspect he's in the witness protection program, or his Jewish wife doesn't know he's here.
My wife.
Dave!
Dave!
My wife is Italiano, not Jewish.
Oh, lucky man.
Worse than that, Sicilian.
Oh.
Whatever that means.
That means if you cheat, you're dead.
I hear it makes a difference if you're Italians. I want you to call them Sicilian. Sicilians, I want you to call them Italians. Anyway, fuck them. All right. So here's the thing, all right? So like my wife and I, we are addicted to streaming TV shows. Constantly searching for new shows to watch, you know? It's not a serious addiction. I mean, there's no 12-step programs, right? There's no chips celebrating 30 days without using the TV remote. But know this, all right? If you're going to talk to me about politics or world problems, what's more important to me? What I really want to know? What are you watching? Now, as man of the house, I got every pay channel there is. Yeah, it's a little pricey, you know, but I believe to make it work, you gotta invest in the relationship. Now, I could tell some of you single ladies out there are probably thinking, hey, David, how do I even go about meeting a guy like you? Good news, ladies, it's easier than you think, all right? Next time you're on a first date, don't worry about what car he drives, okay? Instead, ask what channels he got. If it's only basic cable, that's okay, you know. If you're content just watching Seinfeld reruns, add Netflix, Amazon Prime, he's got potential. You can work with this. But on top of all of that, he got Hulu, Apple, Peacock, and you don't got the decency to sleep with him? Well then, ladies, the problem is you. Because having lots of channels, it's a status symbol. It is. You don't believe me? You ever recommend a show on Apple to a friend, only to find out he don't got Apple? The shame on his face. You feel terrible. You're thinking, oh, this business must not be doing too well. I bet his ex-wife got Apple in the divorce. Okay. Now, I gotta warn you, having lots of channels comes with responsibility. It's not for children. Right? You gotta be vigilant. Learned this last month when I rented an old movie on Amazon for $3.99, only to find out it was free on Disney. That sucked. Now, I know it's no Greek tragedy overpaying $3.99 for a classic like Casablanca or Citizen Kane, which is #1 on Spielberg's list of greatest movies. So what sucks you ponder? Okay? Overpaying $3.99 for the sequel to Caddyshack. Not quite sure where that one landed on Spielberg's list. Now, I gotta tell you this though. There's one thing that I do miss about those old movies and old TV shows that they just don't do anymore. They would give me a heads up when, out of nowhere, there's a flashback, right? Remember, it was old school with across the screen, 10 years earlier. Right then I knew, it's 10 years earlier. Now? Now it's up to me to find out that we're back in the 80s, because the main character's wearing dolphin shorts, listening to a Walkman. It's real simple. If they're not gonna tell me it's a flashback every 2 minutes, then the characters gotta start wearing name tags. My wife and I like to watch documentaries about serial killers and how they're caught on Netflix. Love that forensic science stuff, right? The only problem is Netflix will recommend shows based on this. Since you like shows with dismembered bodies, how about these shows, you sick fucks? Where the FBI's gonna show up? We had to binge watch all 6 seasons of Downton Abbey just to cleanse our viewing history. We saw this amazing documentary about historic buildings on PBS. I like PBS. What do you think of that, huh? I'll watch PBS from time to time, you know, until they start begging for money. Then they can go fuck themselves. Making me feel like I'm a freeloading sack of shit because I'm not a paid member, you know? Trying to entice me to buy a membership with that once-in-a-lifetime gift, like the greatest hits from the Carpenters. Like I got the willpower to walk away from that. The documentary was amazing. Did you know it only took 2 years to complete the Eiffel Tower and a little bit more than 1 year to complete the Empire State Building? It's amazing. Let me tell you something. If you're not blown away by that, consider this. Not too long ago, it took 3 years, 3 long years, just to complete the final season of Yellowstone. An amazing piece of shit. And by the way, whenever a new season of anything starts again, am I the only one that needs a 7-hour recap? I don't remember shit. You see, and this is why my wife is my soulmate, because she remembers everything about these shows. I could ask her anything and get an answer, although occasionally I'll ask something that makes her question the marriage, you know? I could tell because she'll start her answer, she'll roll her eyes at me and start her answer off with 2 words. 2 words that puts chills down my spine. Makes me wonder, why didn't I just Google the question? 2 words. Pause it. Pause it. Pause it has never been followed by, great question, David. How do you think of these questions? Must be a gift. Now, pause it is followed by a 20-minute dissertation on the show. And I got a confession. Even my wife doesn't know this. Half the time, I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. I just fake that I do so I don't look like a total moron, you know? It's like, hey, Ashley, if you're out there, does this look familiar? Oh, that's the guy who did the thing with the other guy. Yeah, no, I didn't remember that. I was making a sandwich at the time, so go ahead, press play. Please, for the love of God, stop talking, just press play. And that's it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah! Yeah!
Don't move.
All right, Dave.
Thank you, sir.
Little hint.
Yes.
Okay. TV manufacturers are a monopoly, and it's a goddamn conspiracy. Samsung, look at its, software. Sony, look at its software. The only software that you could use, Dave, is Roku. Because you don't have to pay $3.99 if it's for free on another channel. All you go is to the search engine and you type in what you want, and it'll tell you everywhere where it goes. Then you pick and choose which one you either have a subscription to if you want to pay. These are the little tidbits that we have to learn at the LA School of Comedy. In addition to that, Maestro, please, my assistant here. I'm not going to saw him in half. All right? It's too big. Merchandise.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
If you take 4 acting classes, Schwartz, which you sorely need, 4 acting classes at the Film Actors Cafe, you get this for free, or you pay, or get your girlfriend to pay $20. All right, thank you all.
Yes.
I hope you enjoyed yourself.
We did.
Yeah.
Even if we didn't, we did. Whoops, easy there.
What's your Netflix binge right now?